So moving on to the rest of the rig. So you've got some squash and stretch in his head and some bend. Again, you can change the bend direction and turn off the eyebrows. The eyelashes. So I've showed you that in the FleX expression editor where you can turn the eyelashes off. If you don't like seeing that. The head can also be translated, and it maintains volume in his neck. And this little controller here can kind of animate a stretchy, squishy, flexible neck. If you want the volume to be maintained in his neck, by default it's on. You can turn it off if you want, and then his neck just gets, it looks like it just gets smudged, like in Photoshop. If you just use the smudge brush, like it looks weird. But yeah, that's there. And also by default, the head is parented to the chest. So here are a few of the dynamic parents. So one is in the head control. So if you move the chest, by default the head moves with it. If you turn this off, and when you move the chest, then the head stays stationary, which is awesome. It's pretty cool actually. So that's a nice little feature. Yeah, moving on to his eye controls. So if you click on the R and L ones, you can control the eyeballs individually. Or click on the cross in the middle. So by default, there are these few attributes here. If you move his eyes around, his eyelids will follow, which is really nice. If you don't want that, just turn off the eyelid follow function. And if you move his head around, the eyeballs follow the head. If you don't want that to happen, again, there's this head follow option, turn it off. And then the eyeballs stay in one place. How cool is that? It's kind of creepy though. But it's there, okay? So all those features are here. Now, these are joint-driven blink controls. So I've showed you before in the FleX expression editor. These two controls have blink channels. So these are blend shape driven, but these over here are joint driven. And these two are tied to the eyelid follow control. So when this is on, when this is 1, these two will work. But if you turn this off, the blinks are not going to work, because you're essentially just turning off like the skin cluster for those eyelid joints. But no worries, you can still animate the blink with the FleX expression editor. That's what's so awesome about this FleX rig, because there's always a workaround. Always. So there's neck control, clavicle controls. Yes, there's another dynamic parent here. I'm going to go over this later because this only works with the IK hands, and right now he's in FK mode. Each one of these FK controllers have their own squash and stretch. So if you animate the length channel, look at that, it's awesome. I wish I could do that, look at that. It's like jello hands. Anyway, moving on. There's this really nice stretchy elbow control too. Again with squash and stretch. Really cool. And his hands can twist as much as you want. Like there's no pinching, as I've seen with lots of other rigs. Like the wrist will start pinching and contracting and getting really messed up here. But with the FleX rig, you can keep rotating it. It keeps on going. Oh yeah, eventually it gets a little messed up, but you can rotate it much more than other rigs. I'm just going to go over the left side of his body because it's all exactly the same with the right side. So his chest control, there's a nice breathe feature here. I'm gonna make him breathe. Blend shape driven, by the way. Sorry, this is lattice driven. So lattice. That's controlling that. In a spine, this is a stretchy spine control. So animate this nice movement here. And these can be animated too to make him bend. And then you've got his butt controls. If you want to animate the volume in his buttocks region, these two controls are awesome for that. And then in here there's two controls. So this one in here is the pelvis. I really like this one. It's like he's dancing. So it can be rotated and translated. And then outside here is the center of gravity. So this is where all your IK and FK switches are. And there's another volume button here, so that's for the torso. So there's stretch and squash in the torso. I've turned the volume off. If you turn it on, then you get that nice gradient of volume going on over there. So by default, his hands are in FK and his legs are in IK. So let's change the hands to IK. So IK is really simple. There's just one arm control here. And so yeah, let me show you, as I was talking about before, this clavicle thing. So if you switch this dynamic parent to on, it only works when in IK mode, okay? So if you move the arm control up and down, look at that, that's awesome. The clavicle moves with it. So if you want to raise his hands up, you can do that. And you know, you can still go back and adjust the clavicle control by itself. By default, this is off though. You just be mindful of that. Again, you've got the stretchy elbow. And by default, the pull vector is off for IK. If you turn it on, then you can see it over here. I mean, you could still animate him without the pull vector, because there's this nice twist channel. So you can still bend his elbow and rotate his elbow without the pull vector. And then you've got some dynamic parents going on in his arms. By default, they're parented to the chest. So when you move his chest, the arms follow. If you turn it off, then his arm will stay stationary. Which is really cool. Like if his hand is tied to something, and you want to animate him, you know, like pulling himself away from something, or you can use that. You can get a nice effect with that. So, moving on to his legs. So his legs by default are in IK, and you've got, just like the arms, you've got this nice stretchy knee control. Sorry, so yeah, the arms can stretch by default, but if you want his arms to bend, like his elbows to bend, that's what these are used for. So his legs can do the same, stretchy, and if you want his knees to bend, there you go. And the pull vectors are on by default. So this is the main leg control. Can be translated, rotate. Be self-explanatory, but there's a ton of attributes over here. So again, they're really self-explanatory, but they're neatly organized in groups. So your foot controls, toe controls, heel controls, the bank control, and whatnot. So this foot twist, foot sway, foot roll, toe roll, toe twist, heel twist, sway. It's a nice banking control too, to animate like his foot rocking back and forth. And yeah, again, there's a stretch enable option. If you turn it off, then he won't maintain volume. Sorry, then his legs won't stretch. So if you move it too far, it's not going to stretch. By default it's on, so that's what makes his leg stretchy. And yeah, there's also that feature in the arms. Over here, stretch. So if we turn that off, then his arms won't stretch. Turn on, then it stretches. And yeah, the pull vector, like I said, it's on. So one is on and 0 is off. And again, if you turn it off, you can always use the twist feature to animate it. But if you like using the pull vector, it's over here. And again, it has a dynamic parent option. So if you move the pelvis around, the legs stay in one spot. They won't move. If you turn the parent option on, then the leg is parented to the chest. Sorry, to the pelvis, and it moves with the pelvis. It's pretty cool. By default, that's oops. Sorry. Oh yeah, let me tell you about that feature as well. Okay, let me just turn this off. So yeah, the hip can also be parented if you click on the select the center of gravity control. This can also be parented, dynamically parented, and this is awesome. It's a really nice feature. So the feet, if you turn this on, and if you move the legs, now watch what happens. It's awesome. By the way, you have to be in IK mode for this to work. So I'm just going to give it some room. Just going to move the pull vectors in front. Now watch what happens. If you move his leg forward, look at that. Isn't that awesome? So if you want to animate him walking across the room, progressive walk, this is awesome. You won't have to waste any time, moving the hip around and having his spine or his chest to follow and whatnot. You just have to move his feet controls, and magically the hips follow. So that's over here. Yeah, so by default that's off. And you might have seen this. So let me talk about the finger and toe controls really quick. So his hand control is here, and if you select this, it's his palm control, and this can be rotated to have like a palm bend kind of thing play on. And all these attributes for his fingers are tied into his palm control. So it can curl both ways, so it can go have a negative value as well. Relax, scrunch, spread, lean, and twist. And the hand can be scaled too, to make it bigger or smaller. Because I know his hand is massive, so if you want to make it a little smaller, that's what hand scale is for. Try not to scale it too much, because it's just scaling the hand bone over here. It's not scaling the finger joints. So it looks a little weird if you go to like a value of -10, but -5 seems to be fine. And so these yellow circles are all control sliders. If you move them, then you can animate like a clenched fist. You can adjust the thumb. It's pretty cool. And each of these little things have their own attributes. So this is for the little finger, and scrunch, lean, and you can curl it as well. So all of these finger controls have this functionality. So yeah, each of these can also be rotated as well. You've got a lot of control for the fingers, which is awesome. And this nice little setup over here. Try and make myself. And you've got the same thing, similar thing in the toes. So that's hidden underneath underneath the global control. So similar to the palm control, you've got this foot bend option, curl for the toes, scrunch. They have both positive and negative values. Cup, spread, lean and twist, and you can make the toe stretch too. Make the toes wiggle. I'm going to skip this for now, the toe lock. The auto foot roll is really nice for animating a walk cycle. It's really fluid movement over here. So you wouldn't have to animate much, you just have to animate this going to 10 and back. And the foot can also be scaled. Again, I'd recommend not going all the way to 10 because it looks kind of weird. But -5 should do the trick. If his feet are too big or you just don't like his feet being that big, you can do that. And yeah, I forgot to mention that his fingers can also be stretched. Stretching strong. Okay, so finally this is the global control, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. Rotate, translate, scale. So I'd prefer, if you have a scene, I'd always suggest, to scale your scene down to match the character. But if you really can't, then yeah, he can be scaled. The only reason why I say that is because sometimes his tongue can act weird, so just be aware of that. If you scale it too much or rotate the rig too much, you might see the tongue popping out. But again, the FleXpression editor using his tongue control, that can be changed. It can be adjusted. There's always a workaround with this rig. So, yeah. So if you find, I mean, I've been working on this for about 4 or 5 months now, but if you find any problems with it, technical errors, just shoot me an email with the problem and hopefully with a screenshot or a small video of what's going on if you run into any issues, and I'll try to resolve it as soon as I can. But hopefully I haven't missed anything. If you click on this logo of his, it's the copyright, and yeah, it's not animatable, okay, so you can't animate this and say, oh, it's 2013, and yeah, no. Nice try, but you can't animate the copyright. That's just sad and bad. So moving on to the rights of this rig, it is free and it's free for commercial use. Sorry, for non-commercial use. If you'd like to use this for commercial uses, I'd appreciate it if you email me first with the details of your project and whatnot, and then we can go from there, and we can grant you a license if I feel that it's appropriate. But yeah, he's ready to go for non-commercial use. And even if you're using this in a video for non-commercial uses, I'd appreciate credit where credit's due. Just simply, at the end of the video, just short message saying that rig provided by Nathanael Xavier. Yeah, I mean that's it. But I prefer the credit, so that everyone knows which rig this is, and like you could even say that you got this from Creative Crash. Oh, one thing I forgot to show you guys the FK legs. but it's pretty self-explanatory. Use the FK controls. Stretching needs are still there, it's a little hard to see though. And just like the FK hands, each of these things has a stretch. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Keep your eyes open for the FleX Rig 2.0, which will be coming out in July next month. And that's going to be really, really awesome. Like, that's going to have a full wardrobe control, so you can change his clothes entirely, even for the girl, because as you've seen before, you can change it to a girl character. So I've modeled clothes for the boy and girl, hats, gloves, eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories. There's a scarf, there's some watches, there's lots of shoes for both of them, and they're all skinned to the character, which is really nice. So you can customize him or her completely, and it'll be really nice. And there'll also be hair and cloth simulation, and there's also a jiggle option to animate jiggle in the fatty areas of his body, especially the buttocks and the breast regions. Also in FleX 2.0, there's going to be a little M over here for the micro facial expression control. So if you think this is really nice, and if you think this is a lot, then you haven't seen anything yet. You've got to see FleX 2.0. So with that, there's going to be much more intricate detail with regards to his face and what he can do. There's going to be lots of more control, micro facial expressions that you can create all around his face. And there's also going to be a nice mouth shaper control. So to animate some lip sync going on, you could just animate a slider going up and down or whatever, and he's going to look as if he's talking, like he's going to make his mouth shape. So that'll be like a mouth shaper. Like if you move the controller up, it'll make an M shape. Move down, it'll be an O shape, something like that. So there's going to be lots and lots of changes. And unfortunately, that's not going to be for free. FleX 2.0 is going to be on sale for about $30. It might be a little more, or that might be a little less. But yeah. So keep your eyes out for that. And I really appreciate your support in purchasing that, because I mean $30 for a rig this awesome is pretty much a steal. So yeah, oh, one last thing, the rendering. So you click on show lights, you can see that it's got some lights here. They're all tied up into this. It's all neatly organized in the outliner. So the light rig is over here. The global control, some extra nodes, and all this geometry. So yeah, you just have to. It's just a matter of smoothing the geometry. Just press 3. There's no smooth control. You have to press 3. And yeah, just render it. I prefer mental ray because the shader on his face is surprisingly, it's not SSS, it's Blinn, so it should work with my software, but I just prefer mental ray. So there you go. So yeah, again, you can download this on Creative Crash for free. Feel free to shoot me an email down here, xavier.nathanael@gmail.com. And also, I'd like it if you guys can check out my other work. My blog is over here, and my YouTube channel. You just have to type in my name, so Nathanael Xavier, and you can see all my work. Again, keep an eye out for FleX 2.0, which is going to be coming out next month. And yeah. So I hope you guys found this tutorial insightful, and I hope you guys have fun with this rig, and I'd really like to see the kind of stuff that you guys can pull off with this rig, animation. So please send me a link to your animation stuff whenever you post anything at this email down here. I'm really excited to see what you guys can come up with. Okay, so once again, I'm Nathanael Xavier with the FleX rig, and wish all of you guys happy animating. Take care.